Let's paint two realistic watercolor ocean scenes while we chat about mindsets and tips that you might find helpful in actually improving in your painting process that I learned through trial and error throughout my 2-year painting journey as a self-taught artist. Knowing this sooner could have saved me years. 6 months ago, I painted this watercolor artwork of two girls at the beach on Yupo paper. I want to paint two companion pieces to hang over the other bed that will complete the set and the room. If you're just starting out with painting, I'd suggest beginning by choosing your niche. Painting is very broad, so choose which painting medium you want to focus on and practice. 2 years ago, I chose to learn to paint with watercolors. If you are more of an intermediate artist and already know which medium you want to paint with and just want some tips on how to improve, I think that what I'm about to say is relevant to you as well. I found that one of the most important things that stands between you and developing your painting skills is focus. And I don't mean the obsessive focus that makes you paint for hours and hours nonstop. I mean the kind of long-term focus where you decide to embark on your painting journey and actually commit to it. Being an artist and creating art is a lifelong journey, and because of this, drawing for hours at a time one day won't make you a pro artist overnight. Similarly, working out for a week won't get you in shape, and writing one page won't make you an author. Are you ready to commit years to your craft? At this point in the painting process, I'm focusing on filling in all the blank white spaces with the first layer of watercolors. At this stage, I try not to obsess over how good it looks so far, because the more you work on a painting, the better it will get. For this first layer, I'm painting both pieces at the same time so that the colors on both of them turn out similar. There were so many instances where I had the intention of creating a set of paintings to hang together, but I painted them separately, so the color palette in the paintings turned out completely different by accident. As Aristotle, a Greek philosopher and polymath, once said, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit." To become good at painting, making painting a habit in your life would guarantee improvement in your painting skills. However, how do we approach building an art habit? A psychology-based approach to developing a habit and sticking to it, which I learned from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, is make it easy. Often we think that in order to drastically change your life for the better, we need to take drastic steps. This mindset, however, is hard to sustain and tends to lead to burnout. Turns out, though, that simply improving by 1% each day can make your improvement bigger and more significant in the long run. As James Clear states on page 15 in Atomic Habits, the difference a tiny improvement can make over time is astounding. Here's how the math works out. If you can get 1% better each day for 1 year, you'll end up 37 times better by the time you're done. Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day for 1 year, you'll decline nearly down to 0. What starts as a small win or a minor setback accumulates into something much more. I go more in depth about developing an art habit and psychologically unlocking your artistic potential in this previous video, which I will link below for you in the description in case you're interested. I think the most challenging part of this artwork was painting in the ropes because they are so jumbled and intertwined. Something I did to help me was squint at my reference photo and start by painting in the darkest shadow areas and building up the layers from there. I wish I knew when I first started painting that it's worthwhile to invest in good art supplies, even if you don't think you're good enough yet to appreciate them. That being said, I don't think you need expensive art supplies to start your painting journey. When I first started painting with watercolors 2 years ago, I started by using a kid's watercolor set. I would suggest experimenting with cheap painting supplies first and seeing which painting medium you want to focus on. Once you decide on your medium, if possible, invest in good paint and paper. Good quality materials really make a difference in the quality of your art and in making your painting process more enjoyable. Painting with cheap materials gets the ball rolling, but good quality supplies keeps the ball rolling. Feeling doubt throughout your painting process is normal. Often we think that successful artists don't ever feel doubt, but they do. They just simply know how to push past it and continue creating. In my personal experience, at some point in every painting, I come to a point in the process where I start to doubt myself. Whenever this happens, I take it as a sign to take a break and recharge. Make time for other things that you love, and a lot of the time, you'll find inspiration for your art in unexpected places. By taking breaks from actively creating art, you are preserving your creativity and keeping yourself from burning out. Interestingly enough, if you find yourself feeling self-doubt towards a particular painting or in your painting journey in general, chances are you are very much ready and capable of improving in your art skills, or perhaps already are great at painting. A psychology concept that proves this is called the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is that smart and competent people tend to underestimate their capability in a particular area, while incompetent people, who are actually less capable than the former, feel less self-doubt and are more confident in their abilities because they aren't aware of how much they don't know. To paint the water on this artwork, I start with a light wash that is going to be the highlight color, and then start painting in the darkest areas first. When I'm painting water, I look for shapes that the waves are forming, such as a V shape or a curve. Just as you need to get into the water to learn how to swim, it goes without saying that it's necessary to jump in and actually start painting in order to learn how and improve. How many times do you find yourself watching videos and reading books about painting instead of actually picking up a paintbrush and starting? Everyone's painting journey is different, and we all have a different style when it comes to learning something new, but I personally think that you learn the best through experimentation and trial and error throughout your painting process. Maybe watch 1 or 2 tutorials on the basics on how to use your paint medium and familiarize yourself with safety hazards of your paint if there are any. But at the end of the day, don't obsess over using your paint the right way. Consider a tutorial as seeing options on how your painting medium can be used, and experiment yourself, because who knows? You can figure out a unique way to use your art medium that no one else has really done before. I think that personally, because I didn't focus too much on using the right or standard technique with watercolors, I ended up figuring out a different method of painting with watercolors that is more controlled because I use less water. Recently, I went to a watercolor workshop with some friends for fun. There, I painted with watercolors using a different technique than I was used to. The watercolors themselves were straight out of the tube, and the brush I was using held way more water at a time than the brushes I use at home. While I enjoyed going out of my comfort zone and trying something new, I personally prefer a more controlled method of painting with watercolors, which is using way less water and using my watercolors after they've hardened in the pan. Remember to have fun while painting and enjoy the process. Don't lose sight of the fact that you are creating for yourself, not for anyone else. Also, no matter where you are in your art journey and where you want to be right now, you are exactly where you are meant to be. Instead of seeing where you are not enough and thinking that you should be better, give yourself credit for having the guts to start or for how far you've come. When you start to be present and appreciate where you are instead of worrying, you will begin to notice opportunities in front of you that will help you improve. If anything in this video was helpful and speaks to you, please leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you for watching.